I'm Graham Swain. I'm with Sam Lee. Sam, you're a mediator. What does a mediator do?
Mediation is a process to enable couples that are separating to meet with someone completely independent and neutral to discuss the issues that they need to address from the breakdown of their relationship, whether that's the arrangements for their children or the financial separation, to try and reach amicable agreements without the need for involvement of solicitors or the court and the acrimony and costs that that entails.
And how do you get to be a mediator?
Most family law mediators have a background as a solicitor.
What are the advantages of mediation?
To help people reach an agreement that they come to themselves, because of course the downside of going to court is that a judge makes a decision that neither party might be happy with. So mediation enables them to keep control of the outcome and make arrangements that suit them and their family.
Do you have to sort out all your differences, or can you maybe sort out some?
Preferably, but of course it's not always possible, but at the very least they can narrow the issues in that some aspects can be agreed even if all points can't be. And the work that they do won't be wasted because, for example, if it's a financial case, they get together all the financial information that they need, which they can then take and use in court proceedings if that's ultimately where they end up.
What if they don't get on together?
That's where the role of the mediator comes in, because it's our job to ensure that both parties are able to be heard and listen to each other, and that neither party is intimidated or pressurised into agreeing to something that's not in their best interests. Also, they can take legal advice hand in hand with mediation, so if there's a specific point that they're not sure about, I can suggest that they go and get some tailored individual legal advice to then inform their discussions when they come back.
And mediation, is it a one-off thing or do you meet often?
No, generally, depending on what the mediation is about, if, for example, it's dealing with finances, you'll need 2 or 3 sessions at least, because you will need to go and get specific information. You can't decide how you're going to divide up your financial assets without knowing exactly what their value is.
Do you need 2 people to be involved in mediation?
No, your first meeting will be on your own to meet the mediator and for the mediator to explain how the process works and what it entails, and also to assess eligibility for legal aid, because unlike court proceedings, legal aid is still available for family mediation.
What would legal aid cover?
It will only cover the costs of the mediation, so it will cover discussing any arrangements, whether it's finances or arrangements for your children, and it will cover the cost of drawing up that agreement into a memorandum of understanding. What it won't cover is any legal costs that you need for a divorce or to have that drawn up into a legally binding format. But if you are eligible for legal aid, you will then be also able to access a scheme called Help with Mediation. So the mediator signs a form and you can then get legal advice on the content of the mediation.
What do you think would be a good outcome of mediation?
I think a success would be people leaving with an outcome that they feel comfortable about. They may not be happy, but if they can see that they can live with it and they can get on with their lives, then that is a good outcome. The intention is to help them reach agreements that they decide for themselves in a way that sets the tone for the future.
Does mediation always work?
Once people know what it's about and they've met a mediator and that they feel comfortable with and can work with, then if you get both members of the couple in the same room, they're keen to try and reach an agreement, and that helps.
And what makes a good mediator?
I think a good mediator needs to have empathy with their clients and understand the process that they're both going through, because they're both in exactly the same position. I think they need to be strong, because there have to be ground rules. You can't allow people to be shouting or arguing or being abusive to each other. And I think you need to be well organised, because although it's their mediation, so they set the agenda, you need to make sure that they come back to the point. Mediation itself has a very high success rate. The difficulty is getting both people to understand and come to mediation. Well, the advice I would give is that if you're going to make a decision, is to make sure it's an informed one. So at the very least, come and have an initial meeting with a mediator so that they can explain the process to you and then make the decision about whether it's something you want to do or not.